Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Indie Game of the Year of 2021. Kena, Bridge of Spirits on the PlayStation 5.
Technically Kena.
That's the thing too. A lot of people pronounce it Kena, other people pronounce it Kena. The game pronounces it Kena. If you want.
Does the game actually pronounce it? I know that I saw a stream of that you did, but I actually forgot this particular detail.
Where's Cal?
But yes, as Pedro mentioned, this game actually did win Best Indie Game of the Year in the Game Awards.
Indeed.
I had voted for something different, but I don't mind this one won.
Yeah, what Deji said actually. When are we going to get... Is the sequel to this game going to be Kel?
Maybe.
I don't
Who
get
knows?
it.
Kena and Cal,
King
Jova.
Cat. Yeah, even I get that reference.
Alright, so I'm playing on the PlayStation 5. You can choose a 4K 30 fidelity mode or a 60 FPS mode with dynamic 4K. So let's go with the performance mode. Why not?
Of course. It's weird though. You'd think performance mode would be the mode that I guess performs better for lower end stuff and whatnot.
Well, I don't think you understand, Joe. Performance mode means you lower the resolution so you can bump up the frame rate. Because, you know.
Oh, that's weird though, because it seemed like the performance mode
Hold
had
on.
higher specs going off of the description.
Unique wooden masks are carved to honor the dead, placed in sacred shrines. These masks gradually return to dust, symbolizing the spirit's peaceful journey into the next life. Not all spirits can travel this path alone, though. Struggling with the tragedies of their past, they linger and become dangerous. Masters called upon to help these trapped in violent manifestations are known as spirit guides, just like our main character, Kena. I forgot the name of the voice actress, but she's the daughter of the game's composer.
Don't expect many known voice actors. There are a couple of inside jokes in a sense, but a couple of the people that voices here did voice that fake HD teaser that this studio did back in the day about Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we need to find wooden spirits housing demonic spirits, settle them down, and beat them, right?
She's voiced by Ayu Larasadzi.
Yeah, the daughter of the composer. Okay, so Kena Bridge of Spirits is a linear action adventure game that harkens back to the era of PS2, GameCube, and Xbox action adventures.
There you say. It looks like you can go a lot of different ways.
Well, there is a hub area, but this is very much more reminiscent of something that you'd see on the PS2 and the GameCube era.
If you watched if you even don't have experience with them, with those kind of games that Pedro just mentioned, if you have watched someone like NitroRed, you might have seen this exact type of interface, the type of character even Kena is based upon on a lot of experimental platformers of the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox era.
Exactly.
How interesting.
So yeah, right now the ability that I have is L1 to use a pulse. What does the pulse do? Basically, it causes all these crystals to light up, which resonate.
It's like the chanting journey, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, Pedro, what makes this indie game stand out amongst the crowd?
Simple, but let me first point out that there's a cutscene right now. So.
Okay.
My back hurts.
Nothing of suffering. This is my home. My village. Turn back, spirit guide.
Yeah.
So that being said, despite being a game rooted as old roots, it does update it to modern standards. You have a square to the light attack and triangle to the heavy attack. It works exactly like you'd expect in any game that has this type of attack. Circle to dodge.
The Pokemon era did also have these kind of, I won't say rudimentary, but this particular type of simple combat.
Then now we'd be fighting Prince Mononoke.
Oh, that's a very interesting thing, Dribs. I'll bring it up in a moment. I'll address what you just said in a moment. For now, let me just answer Jova's questions. First of all, here's how it usually works in these modern games, Jova. Usually, the fidelity mode in today's games bumps the frame rate all the way to a maximum, to a native 4K, which of course means and then it runs at 30 FPS. However, if you prefer prioritizing frame rate over resolution, the game will give you an option to switch to a dynamic 4K. If you don't know what dynamic 4K is, it constantly changes resolution depending on what's in the game. And the fact that it keeps changing resolution allows for the game to render in 60 FPS. So basically, it all depends on what you prefer. Do you want prettier visuals or do you want a higher frame rate? It basically just choose. Again, it's a common standard. Guardians of the Galaxy does this. Ratchet and Clank does this. It's the common standard nowadays.
We encountered this beforehand doing that segment in Nier, where the game, in order to keep the frame rate consistent at 30, had to lower the resolution, and it was severely noticeable. But I can also tell you for a fact that Insomniac did experimented with this kind of concept on the PS3 when it came to Ratchet and Clank by trying to keep a stable 60 FPS, but lower the resolution to probably 480 rather than 720.
All right. To address both Jova and Dwebs' remarks, Kingdom Bridge of Spirits is, aside from its gameplay, also apparently inspired by other two things. While the gameplay is inspired by 6th gen games, the visuals are inspired by modern animated films. Why? Because Ember Labs was actually an animation studio before making this game. They're also huge.
Interesting jump.
Yes, they're a huge fan. They're gamers and they love games, and particularly Zelda fans. And they decided they wanted to try their hand at making a game. So after making a deal with Sony and Epic Games, which is why the PC version is Epic Games Store exclusive, they managed to get this game done. But for now, cutscene.
You can. Oh, I'll wait till after.
And yes, the cutscenes and the preliminary cutscenes in this game are basically made exactly like Ember Lab usually does. Yeah, Ember Lab is literally making these cutscenes as if they were making one of their animations that you can see
That's what my point was going to be after the cutscene.
That you can see on the you can go onto their YouTube channel. You can see their Zelda short and other shorts they've made.
Oh wait, the Zelda short, was that
Yes.
Majora's Mask, yeah.
Yes. They're the ones who made
that. Wow, that was a fan thing back in the day. Jeez.
Yeah.
Sentient blueberry.
Oh, they have come quite a ways. So is a sentient blueberry okay to eat? I
No.
get the feeling
No,
Never know until you try, Jova.
That's a rot. We'll find out what the rot are specifically later. Notice something here?
masks. They're spirits. Which means they're spirits that we need to help tether.
You're not entirely wrong, no. Alright, so we can now press L1 to interact with the Rot Wisp, as it says right there.
I'll give it this. What helps is that the in-game models look in a way that, well, the movie cutscenes, while you can tell that there's a difference in them, they still look like, you know, it's close enough that it feels like you could maybe occasionally get tripped up on the transition between the two.
The game takes full advantage of modern hardware, specifically the PSI and PC, to really enhance the models as much as they can.
I think the best way to describe the hyper on the...
Look, notice this.
It's alright. What happened here, little guy?
This looks straight up about like it's from a Pixar movie.
Yep.
Cute.
We have a friend now.
Yes.
They're so good
All
to
right.
merchandise out of that thing.
Okay, basically.
If they do, I'm buying it.
To continue addressing the point. Okay, so yeah, the visuals, as you can see, are inspired by modern animated films. That being said, like Dwebs already noticed, the actual the style of storytelling, on the other hand, is much more Ghibli-esque, specifically Princess Mononoke. Why? Because much like it actually starts very similar to Princess Mononoke. We have this lone warrior who kind of, and a lot of the storytelling is like he doesn't even have a partner she can talk to. Most of the time she's on her lonesome, you know, and it's all about the journey that she's taking and the people that she helps throughout the way.
I will say this also, I can see why this game did win Best Visuals for, I think it was for Indie Game, or was it Best Visuals in general?
No,
Art
the,
direction.
Either way.
I thought
No.
the art direction was won by Deathloop. Well,
yeah,
I'm
art direction was run by Deathloop, actually.
No. I feel like it was some other visual based thing that
I'm gonna
it
check in the
won.
meantime.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
worry.
do that.
I don't know.
Maybe, to be fair, I may be misremembering.
Hmm.
But yeah,
So yeah,
How
basically,
many of you did Pedro show this beforehand?
Yeah,
I know I've seen like this, but what we're seeing now.
what you have here is basically an animation studio with years of experience now bringing their expertise into the game, which is why they're able to create such beautiful visuals on a AA budget, because this is something that they've already mastered by this point.
This is double A? Oh,
Yes.
man.
Similar to what Ninja Theory did with Hellblade, technically.
Yeah,
My
Hellblade
only-
was technically, for as good as it looks, Hellblade is technically a AA game, actually. Remember, there was
The only thing that I would
there was that.
mention that I think it's
Go
a
on.
bit of a wasted opportunity would have been to Sony to actually properly, own this IP as Puyo own being the publishers instead of, having. I guess. Remember me again. It is self-published still as a game on its own.
It's self-published. Well, most
fair
likely.
enough. Because
Well-
usually a lot of indies tend to have one of the minor publishers instead, like Team 17, for example. But I guess in this case, but part of me kind of wishes Sony would fully back this up to the point of proudly presenting it. They did proudly presented this during the PS5 presentation, so I was kind of hoping they will present this
Well,
to be alongside their more, realistic looking games.
It can remember, Teo. What you have here is an unproven studio who has never made a game before. So obviously, I can understand not wanting to immediately take a huge risk with them.
I
you know?
forgot.
Not only that,
they
even
did
though-
they did a trust with the studio that did the Concrete Genie with a couple of games we did before, and
Well, but that studio was actually a Sony-made studio, so.
fair enough. Go on,
In
Joe.
regards to this being self-published, it does mean that, after some time passes, it could come to other platforms as well, to my knowledge.
Not to mention, self-publishing is important for minor studios because a lot of times they might feel the need of executive orders from like a big or like a mandate or something.
That being said,
Again, I still want to say that all publishers are bad automatically, but a couple of times they might pressure the studios.
that being said, the game sold exceptionally well, according to Josh Greer, one of the creators, and he even said that, and I quote him, "We're definitely not going to go back to making commercials now." And he even said that Sony is very happy with the sales of the game. So we might be able to see the start of a partnership here. So
My guess is maybe Sony will give them backing, but it'll be in a way that the series can still be multi-platform.
remember, Teo.
Modus operandi. Sorry, go on.
Basically,
Oh, you can kiss, dance, sneeze, and have them stand.
yes. Basically, at any point in the game, you can press down on the D-pad, so you can sit down, and you can do all these 4 actions. Or you can stand up, or you can sneeze. There you go. Okay. Next.
Which also helps with the photo mode.
Yeah, the game also. You can also use the photo mode during these bits. That being
That is
said,
adorable.
remember, Teo, it's kind of like it was the same thing with the first Dark Cloud, where Hino was under extreme limit.
I was about to mention. It also fits the modus operandi that Sony has been now by having third parties and minor studios like this one, which self-publish, to have games that they themselves, when it comes to first and second party, do not normally operate, like we mostly rely on Square Enix for the JRPGs.
I will say this, Sony have been surprisingly lenient lately with their exclusivity stuff here. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some stuff that they still do keep absolutely exclusive, but they seem to have been a lot more willing to back stuff that, inevitably becomes multi-platform later on. Hell, some of their first-party stuff, they're now actually willing onto PC, of all things.
Alright.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
There we go. The categories where Kina was nominated at the very least were Art Direction, which was instead won by Deathloop. And again, I think I voted for Psychonauts 2 of this one, but I think Kina could have won equally. But to be fair, it was the category that I mentioned where everyone had a solid chance anyway, in my eyes. Then
I know-
there was... Sorry, go on.
I know Kina did win a few awards.
Best
so
independent
good
game,
of
at the very least.
course, yeah.
Then there was something else. Let me see.
I
I
think
could have sworn there was another visual award
The View Indie
categories.
game. Which one as well?
there you
That
go.
might have been what I was thinking of. But yeah, honestly though, so Pedro, how full-fledged is this game in terms of, being a full core experience? Like, well,
It lasts
it's
10
like your
hours.
typical- not bad for an indie game.
Well, it's mostly free areas. Like not free areas. Like it's one big area that has. But the story only has 3 chapters.
So what beefs it up to 10 hours?
Well, the fact that you have to go through the dungeons and you have to solve puzzles.
Boring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to mention the game has plenty of stuff to explore, collectibles, and also there's also a couple side quests here and there. So
True. I guess a clarifying question would be like, well, would you say it's 10 hours just playing it normally, or 10 hours like
Well,
completion?
if you're playing it normally without doing any of the side stuff, I guess you'll probably finish it in about 8 hours. I guess.
Not too bad.
I mean, the game is only,
Yeah,
the game only costs $40, so
It's okay for games to be short.
Yeah, and look, as long as they cost the proper ratio amount,
which
I'm
this
fine
game
with
does. Fun fact. After the victories in the Game Awards, Sony made a special Game Awards sale, of which this game was also on discount because of it. So, what was I gonna say? So yeah, what you have here is basically a game that is made by an animation studio, which is why it looks this way, because these guys already have an expertise in CG rendering. So
I guess what is nice is was that they're moving up from doing commercials to an actual full-fledged story. Again, this is one of the benefits of video games here and there. They can give you opportunities to tell stories if you wanted to, say, make it into the entertainment industry. And hell, one could argue that you can arguably make a longer story than a movie would allow you to do.
Yeah.
Yes, there are still obviously caveats here and there, but if you know what you're doing, which these guys seem to, yeah, you
Let me
can
explain.
make some amazing things.
let me explain a couple of things. One, you can find fruits in certain bushes that the rod will feed. If you feed the rod, you'll gain some more skill points that you can use to unlock in a skill tree to enhance Kina's abilities. The other thing is another thing about the consequence of the gameplay being a throwback to an old era. A lot of the non-combat gameplay aspects are very reminiscent of a pre-Breath of the Wild Zelda game. Block pushing, time-based puzzles, archery
Again, Joe,
style puzzles.
this is done by a team that clearly loved Majora's Mask, so it's not too surprising. But it's also worth to be noted that this also introduces to the major public the mechanic of controlling your minions and moving objects, puzzle solving, that at the absence seems quite a bit actually. The last major game that did this was Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, which they received a port recently on the Switch, but that's literally it. There was a time where games like that had a bit more to it, like Little King Story or Overlord, but in recent times they kind of just disappeared. So this is kind of capitalizing on a missing genre.
We are getting a new platformer that's basically like that. Hold on, it's on my Steam wish list. Let me find it.
Anyway,
On your wish list already?
oh, and by the way, here's something that she appreciates. There are a lot of cat statues over the place, and some of them fall. And if you
Actually, this is a fox,
That's
Pedro.
a fox statue.
is it? Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Actually,
she's-
never
You
mind.
can
That's it.
recognize by the fluff on the chest.
Tsune.
And to answer your question, Tia, the game it's called Tinykin, which is basically you control your platforming, and you need your little minions, Pikmin-like creatures, to help you navigate.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
Cool.
it's Pikmin.
Yeah, and yes, the rot, as you can probably already guess from what Theo just said, yes, the rot also involves some inspiration from Pikmin, because you can give them various actions for them to do, like carrying things, or they can even help you in fighting the enemies.
Did they transform you since they're a wisp?
No, they don't transform you, no.
No.
I do see what you mean about this game being linear, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I'll admit, it did.
Cutscene.
It did seem like it had all these different avenues earlier, but okay, let's see what's here now.
spirits and restore balance to the forest.
I know you're kind. You sense the power that flows through this land, but you do not fully understand it.
Seriously, this guy really is a male version of Sam. He hates people trespassing on his forest, and he's like, "Oh, I fucking hate humans."
So yeah, like the
Game again?
what? Sorry, Dodge.
How long is this game again?
8 hours. If you,
Oh,
Yeah, that's
18
fair.
hours, yeah.
it's okay. And yeah, like the opening.
Land can be healed, but you cannot stay here, spirit. You must move on.
You are the one who does not belong.
You know, it'd be cool is if that's actually foreshadowing to turn out that she is actually the ghost herself.
Nah, Java. Again, I don't know how this game ends, and I'm pretty confident they don't. This story plays safe for at least most of it.
Okay, so yeah, like the opening text said, a spirit who refuses to cross over into the afterlife eventually starts, as you can see, it causes the earth to rot, as you can see. So, which is why we need this world needs spirit guides to send them to the afterlife. Unfortunately, as you can see, some spirits are not as in a hurry to leave this world.
In which case, we have to play Reaper with them.
And yes, and yeah, every time it causes the plants in the area to come to life in the form of warriors, like the one I just beat. But yeah, fortunately, thanks to the power of that crystal that all spirit guides have, you can purify the land.
Kind of like similar to Okami.
Mm-hmm.
I like that the blueberries have toe beans.
I mean, wouldn't they be blackberries?
Sure.
Blueberries taste better, so...
Their name is Rot, in case you
I
want
mean,
to
I
know.
like both.
Alright, so here's Benny and Saya. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what they...
They love it.
I wonder how they taste
My
like.
name is Kana. What do you two do?
You want to have one?
In the forest.
Oh, listen here.
About us. We've been here a long time and take care of ourselves.
I can see that. You both look very strong. Do you know who that spirit was with the horned mask?
We don't know, but when he shows up, the girl's poison grows stronger. What are you doing here in the forest?
That's a good question.
I'm searching for the sacred mountain shrine. Can you take me there?
This is weird. I thought these two were spirits themselves too, since they also have.
They are. That's a good guess that you made, yes.
Our brother Charles.
So doesn't that mean she's gonna have to help them move on as well?
There's more to it.
Okay.
Basically, there you go. They're looking for their big brother Taro, which is why they won't cross over. Their brother Taro is missing, it seems.
I'm guessing when it's a spirit that is willing to move on, so long as you fulfill, a deal or whatnot, they don't hurt the forest. But when it's a spirit that just absolutely refuses to move on, that's when it hurts the
It's
forest.
also
I
eradicated
assume.
Java in very simple folklore. That's one in different shapes, a bit common all over the world. The idea that if a spirit was belonging to a person that was in their life violent, or evil, or died in a violent way, their spirit will be reflected on that and be actually malevolent.
That could affect things, yeah.
Mhm.
I'll admit, the idea I got from this game when I first saw it wasn't Studio Ghibli,
We have
but
a title.
actually Fumito Ueda, actually.
Yeah, there's the inspiration. There's a crap ton of inspiration sources for this game.
You also have to remember that Ueda himself, along with Kenji Kaido, designed at least Ico and Shadow of the Colossus to be similar also to Zelda. So
Anyway, yeah, now I guess our next intention is to help their brother Taro. So I guess we'll have to find him. So I guess we'll keep following the
This
path.
game has a skill tree.
Yes, that's the skill tree.
Mhm.
Basically,
Hey.
every time you defeat enemies or do various kinds of actions successfully, you gain skill points that you can use to unlock them. There you go.
How would you say the combat is overall in this game? Would you say it gets repetitive, or they at least keep it constantly changing up enough? Or, it's not that much of a bother?
No, the combat is good. Like, again, it's basic, but it's well executed because there's a lot of enemy variety. And not to mention, you have a good amount of moves that you can get. Meaning you can always just, you have different ways of fighting. Later on, you'll get a bow, meaning which will be your primary source of long distance attacks. So,
Nice.
so the combat works. Again, the combat basically works like a pre-Breath of the Wild Zelda game, basically.
You mentioned about being skilled with the animation, but wasn't there anyone in the team, like anyone at all, with some kind of past experience with video games of any kind?
There's not that much behind the scenes info of the game, aside from one.
Again, just to confirm if this is a complete first for them in terms of creating a gameplay for their product.
I'm sure they went out of their way to hire programmers and designers, obviously, but
okay, not in terms of that, but in terms of like the big names of the studio who did.
No, Josh, no. The Greater Brothers are animators. That's what they trained.
Again,
that's what they're trained to do.
Again, this is why the award for best debut indie is very well deserved on this one.
So did they hire game devs for their company, or did they study up on
Well,
game development?
I'm assuming it's either the latter one or just a mix of both, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, this is the primary village. This village will be our primary hub area of the game, and as you can see, the corruption of that spirit we're chasing is all over the place. So
did it kill everyone and turn them into ghosts as well in the village?
that's the thing, Jova, as we're gonna find out. No, this is not a spoiler. We're gonna learn it in a moment. Everybody in this village is already dead.
Oh, so do we need to help them all move on, or is this like a place where it's okay for spirits to hang?
The main story-wise, we have a total of 3, 2, and a total of 6 spirits to move on, main story-wise. However, there's side quests that involve other spirits that you can help throughout the entire village. So yes,
so if I understand correctly, though, every spirit does need to move on, even if it is in different ways. Correct?
No, it always involves giving them some kind of closure on whatever killed them. Basically, or something in their lives. Again, it's the age-old myth of spirits with unfinished business and can't move on because they feel like they need their life to be corrected somehow.
Absolutely. What I was wondering is are there any exceptions to spirits that need to move on, or is it
no?
No, I mean it's pretty much for the best that all of them move on. So. Essentially, yeah.
All the spirits that we meet in this game will eventually cross over into the afterlife in some... it's just that there's different reasons for each one.
Okay. Also, there's the hack card open, so what, are there shops in this village you can get
Yes, yes. Throughout the entire game, you can get blue jewels, which you can use as currency to buy hats for your rot.
You don't get the hats, they do.
Yes.
Here, Valve will be making a killing off those.
You might have noticed.
Oh god! Go on, Pedro.
You might have noticed earlier when I beat that boss earlier that my number of rot increased from 5 to 8. Basically, the rot are basically your experience points. The more rots you get, the more stuff you can do, and your level. Eventually, when you get a certain number of rots, you get to level up until level 4.
I've noticed that the rots seem to automatically home on onto certain things and even point you in the right direction or help you gather stuff.
No. If you don't know where to go, just use the map screen. Go on, Dej.
What's the most amount of rots you can get?
Total of 100.
All of you?
No. There's even a trophy for it and everything.
Wow, so you can have 100 rots following you around on the map?
No, not entirely on the map because a lot of times they disappear over the course while you're walking. Yeah. They only show up primarily when you actually give them an order. So.
Anyway, I did found the actual development mentioning here. Originally, the studio did found just by brothers Mike and Josh Greer in 2009, and again, like you mentioned just about the animation. However, after the Terrible Fate short, they did want, like you mentioned, having the next step being an actual video game, and they were approached by an actual industry veteran called Tina Kovalevsky, and after they signed the exclusive deal with Sony in October 2017, they got allowed, we don't know by whom specifically, for the team to grow to 15 core employees, migrating from some other unnamed studios. So yes, they did receive external help to form their own team that they have currently.
It seems like Sony was already helping them a bit as well.
Well, it was both Sony and Epic Games as well. It seems because the Epic Games also made a deal to help finance the project in exchange for exclusivity on the PC front.
Is this powered on Unreal Engine?
Yes, the Unreal 4.
Yeah, it's Unreal 4.
Okay. Yeah.
I love how when you go to certain areas, the rot wisps that fall around you will suddenly start hiding in areas around here and there.
Yeah, the rot. They do a good job making the rot look like real living creatures with a lot of animations. So yeah,
it probably helps that essentially. Okay, so to mitigate the chances that having too many rot wisps would follow you around would make the game chug, they seem to have it be where a typical group will follow you, but it's not like your entire party of rot wisps will be following you the entire time.
Yeah, that probably would be.
It's more like they'll be there with you in spirit.
Hell, even from a basic standpoint, I personally probably wouldn't have wanted like 100 rot right behind Keen. It probably would make the screen a bit too cluttered for my tastes, to be honest.
Some games like some of the games that I mentioned before, like Pikmin or Overlord, actually do incorporate the total amount of
definitely.
Creatures that you command. But I get the idea that for the purpose of this, you don't need really all of them at the same time.
The hats don't actually do it.
Wonderful 101.
The hats don't actually do anything gameplay-wise. They're just purely cosmetics.
Again,
Also
like that you
audience.
joked before, like Team Fortress 2.
Yes, Shiroi?
Yes, you're right.
Later on, you will get cat ears.
Yes.
No,
Really?
Pedro, make sure
Yes.
you don't buy those. Just don't.
When he streamed the game for me, he did buy them.
Okay. Again,
Also, the mushroom hat is cute. Use that.
I'll say this. I'm surprised that there's not a plushie of the rot wisps. Like, those seem like plushies.
I
Yeah,
think
pretty sure there is some merchandise.
I-
Lab does have one.
I actually think I remember hearing something about it at some point, but I'll have
I
to
wonder if
look
they
into
have
it.
anything on Fangamer. Because I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
so I
saw-
guess I give Fangamer some time.
All right, and now cutscene. This will be one of the primary characters that we're gonna meet in a moment.
Uh-huh.
Let me just. There you go.
Gotta say, the reboot to Crash Bandicoot looks pretty keen.
Don't you mean key now?
I hate you because I was going to make the same joke. You son.
I mean, come on, it's obvious. Evil masks that we have to track down and house demonic spirits. Yeah.
Oh,
There you are.
Nah, you see, this is Wrath of Cortex.
so there you go. This is actually one of the oldest. And you'll notice that he also has a blue rock on his on a necklace. So yeah, he's also a spirit guide, but he's dead. So of course he's not in service anymore.
I seek passage to the sacred mountain.
Yeah,
Can guide
he's
myself
retired.
at least.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Shiro, he cannot because he too has something that he really wishes be done before he passes on properly.
Be alive.
What a yokais?
Oh my god, Dribbs did raise a good point. How much of a paradox would it be if a spirit's unfinished business was that they want to be alive again?
So yeah,
Hold on, I'll mention after the cutscene.
They asked me to help free a boy named Taro.
I'm not surprised that Benny and Saya found you. They are clever children and would do anything for their brother. We have always crafted wooden masks to honor those who have passed on. Placed here, the masks slowly turn to dust, aiding the spirit's journey into the next life.
My father was a spirit guide. Our traditions are different, but he helped many spirits pass from this life to the next.
So you know what happens.
Wonder what was different about them.
Take Taro's mask. It is bound to his spirit, and will help you fulfill your promise to.
Hey, I wonder what this might be a reference to.
So can you put on the mask and get different abilities?
The masks actually help you see the footprints of rot, which basically helps you find rot all over the world of the
It's
game.
your detective vision, basically. But also, Joe, but to answer your question, well, not a question, but to mention, to continue what you mentioned.
There you go,
It's
Dutch.
actually a very common type of narrative, the idea that a spirit doesn't move on just because they're so attached to the life that they had that their regret of not being able to be alive anymore is too much.
In the, Rezu here, we haven't learned his name yet, but yeah, his name is Rezu, and let's just say he has one particular reason why he won't move on quite just yet, but we'll figure it out later. There you go, see? Notice those purple footprints, that means there's a rot nearby. Let's see.
It's interesting what Kina said, though, about their traditions being different. I wonder if that's hinting at something.
It's because they come from different villages. I'm assuming. Like, there's not like aside from her saving this village, there's nothing else to. There's some. We'll eventually get backstory on Kina, but not on whatever she came from. Maybe for a sequel.
Maybe generational differences is what she means, like how they approach, their job. Essentially.
Probably.
What they do is essentially exorcism. You can believe another kind of exorcism will be much more like cold, ruthless, cruel, potentially, and just say to the spirit, no, fuck off, and pass away. Instead, Kina has this more gentle approach.
Exactly. That's why I thought. That's why I was wondering if they were, building up to something with that.
Like I said, the primary, as you can see, the tone of the game is very down to earth and even melancholic at certain points. So again, it really harkens back to something like Princess Mononoke. So
you can see also it's a game that takes itself seriously. It's a comedy beats, mostly in the form of a rot and occasionally, the two spirit children. But otherwise, it's not one that, plays for laughs all the time.
It's more like pretty light humor. And I think it fits.
Oh, okay. Oh, hold on. So when we open up that there's something. So let's see if we can find it. Oh, corruption. Okay. All right. Here's okay. So you can heal yourself by finding special magical flowers and having the rot use its power to heal you. So basically, you automatically, your life automatically refills, except when you're in battle. When you're in battle, if you want to heal your health for whatever reason, you need to heal the flowers. The flowers do regenerate, but you can't just use them over and over. You have to wait for them to recharge again. So, that being said, if you're playing on the harder difficulties, the game can get pretty challenging because the enemies dish out a lot of damage. So, that being said, you can always just go into an easier mode if you want. You can also press R3 to lock on, and the usual shtick.
Can you switch difficulty modes while you're playing, like a lot of games?
No, not midst the game, and the main reason why is because there's a trophy for beating the game on the hardest mode.
Okay.
Basically, they don't want you to play the entire game on easy, and then right before the final moment, change difficulty to the hardest, so that you'll cheat.
Cheat it away. I prefer this kind of approach because again, if you want that particular achievement, you actually have to earn it.
When you first start a new game,
I guess like games that don't have that kind of achievement don't have to implement the difficulty.
Definitely.
Here's how I would go about doing it.
You can have like either or.
Here's how I would go about doing it. Make it so that you can swap in the middle of gameplay, but make it so that the achievement mentions that you have to do it in one difficulty for the entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was what Pedro mentioned.
No, I got what Jovan means too. Some games will say changing the difficulty mid-game will nullify this trophy or achievement. Are you sure you want to do it? It's kind of like the boosters in Final. It's like the boosters in the Final Fantasy games too, where if you use the booster, the game will even warn you. If you use this booster, you will not be able to gain trophies. Are you sure? So, okay. So, that little ball of energy is the forest tier. Here's what you can do. You can turn your rot, as the game just said, return the rot to their original form. And yes, the more rot you get, the more impressive that form will look. Eventually, by the end of the game, we'll see what the rot's final and true form looks like. So,
it's gonna be like a giant colossus.
That bar, as you can see, is basically your time limit.
And as you can see, the rot also possess the power to clean corruption.
Oh, I was gonna say it looked like they have an explosive personality.
They just needed to be guided,
Anyway.
like
All right, everybody.
It's beating me at the pun game today.
All right, everybody. In the next part, we start trying to figure out what exactly happened to Taro and where he could be. So see you then.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.